Let me first start off with having Hiroko Ishikawa do a quick self-introduction.
石川ひろ子より自己紹介をさせていただきます。皆様、こんにちは。石川ひろ子です。英語から日本語の通訳をお手伝いさせていただきます。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。Hello everyone. My name is Hiroko Ishikawa, joining you from Tokyo, Japan. I'll be helping English to Japanese interpretation.
Great. Thank you very much. Next, we have Atsuko Yube.
はい。皆様、こんにちは。ゆうべあつこです。今日は、サンノゼの方から、日本語から英語の、トランスレーションのお手伝いをさせていただきます。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。Hello everyone, my name is Atsuko Yube. I will be helping you translate from Japanese to English. And thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So today's forum is going to be conducted in both English and Japanese. And so we have Zoom interpreters.
英語と日本語で行われますので、Zoom 通訳オプションを使用いたします。Go ahead.
And so please choose, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you're going to see a globe, and it's on the very far right. So you can select English or Japanese. So if you can go ahead and do that now, then you'll all be set.
お聞きになりたい言語を選択してください。
As you've just heard from our interpreters, we have two joining us today. Our first interpreter is Atsuko Yube. She's a realtor at Spirit Commercial and a board member of the Asian Real Estate Association of America. Atsuko-san will help us interpret from Japanese to English. Our second interpreter is Atsuko's sister, keeping it all in the family. Atsuko's sister is Hiroko Ishikawa, who's going to help us interpret from English to Japanese. So we should have our bases covered. If you are not a speaker today, we'd ask that you turn off your video and your audio. The entire forum is going to be recorded, and we will be periodically taking screenshots for promotional purposes. So please be aware of that. All right, now that we've got the housekeeping out of the way, welcome everyone to the US and Japan Subnational International Business Forum. This is being hosted by Koyamada International Foundation, KIF, also by KIF Japan, the Junior Chamber International Japan, and the San Jose-Okayama sister cities in collaboration with the city of San Jose and the city of Okayama. Our subnational hosts are San Jose-Okayama sister cities and JCI Okayama. My name is Michael Serra, and I'm based here in San Jose, California. And during the day, I'm a consultant. I have several large Japanese tech trading companies that I work with, and I help them bridge the technology, culture, and language gap between Japan and Silicon Valley. The rest of the time, you'll find me at this museum that's in my background, and that's the Japanese American Museum of San Jose, and I'm their board president. For myself personally, it's a time in my life where I get to give back to the community, and I have a really strong passion for making sure that we support and provide a path for our youth to make sure that we continue to foster future leaders in our own Japanese American community. So enough about me. What I'd like to do now is introduce the real star of the show, Mr. Shin Koyamada, who's originally from Okayama, but he's now living in the US for over 20 years. Yes. Yes. Okay, let me start again. So the real star of the show is coming up next, and that's Shin Koyamada. He's originally from Okayama, and has been living in the US for over 20 years now. He's the creator of this forum, and Shin is best known worldwide for his film debut co-starring with Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai, which was nominated for Academy Awards, 3 Golden Globe Awards. And Shin's also starred in a Disney Channel original movie called Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, which received the highest rated kids channel in Japan, the UK, and Europe. In addition, he's also well known for producing numerous movies, shows, comics, and video games through his production company, Shinka Entertainment, since 2005. His wife, Nia Light, and Shin are founders of the international NGO, Koyamada International Foundation, or KIF. With that, Shin, take it away.
I'm going to give a few seconds for Hiroko-san to translate. Thank you, Michael Sarah, for the wonderful introduction and your amazing talent as a moderator. On behalf of Koyamada International Foundation, it is my honor and privilege to host today's forum with the San Jose and my hometown, Okayama. I hope everyone enjoys this forum. I would like to thank 2 interpreters, Hiroko Ishikawa-san and Atsuko Yuba-san, and all 10 speakers from both San Jose and Okayama, who also like to thank Kathy Sakamoto-san, president of San Jose Okayama Sister Cities, who helped us organize locally with the city of San Jose and local speakers. In 2017, San Jose and Okayama celebrated the 60th anniversary of their sister city relationship. It was a privilege to attend the celebration with many friends of mine from Okayama in San Jose, and also join the San Jose Sister Cities delegation trip to Okayama in the following year. I also like to acknowledge Takato Watabe, our Deputy Executive Director of KIF Japan, who's been with us for a few years and has been helping us coordinate with the Japanese governments, JCI Japan, JCI local chapters, and Japanese speakers on Japan side. In addition, I'd like to thank Mike Holland, whom I have known for over 8 years, to help us coordinate everything on the US side. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Shin. Appreciate that. I'm happy now to introduce Mike Holland, National Board Member of KIF Japan in Tokyo, and Asian Pacific Committee Chair of its international umbrella organization, KIF Global. Mike Holland has been a great leader, coordinated this forum on the US side. Mike, take it away.
Okay, hello. I'm gonna go nice and slow for Hiroko-san. So hello and good morning from Okinawa in Japan. My name is Mike Holland. I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. I graduated from California State University, Bakersfield in 1993. After college, I lived in Denmark in Europe for almost 5 years. After living and traveling around in Europe, I moved to Takasaki in Gunma, Japan in August of 1998. In 2003, I moved to this beautiful island of Okinawa in the most southern part of Japan, and that is when I started my company, English Teachers in Okinawa. I joined KIF Japan in 2012 and I'm currently a national board member of KIF Japan and the chairman of the Asia Pacific Committee. That is enough about me. Let me now give you all a quick summary of today's US-Japan Subnational Global Young Professionals Zoom Forum. This forum is organized by Koyamada International Foundation, also known as KIF, and KIF Japan in partnership with Junior Chamber International, JCI, Japan, and local US and Japanese subnational governments and nonprofit organizations. The forum is a bilateral international project for American and Japanese young professionals to deepen their bilateral ties among them and foster mutual understanding and international cooperation between communities of the United States and Japan at a subnational level. In the forum, we're pairing 6 different US and Japanese cities to host its own forums with their own US and Japanese young professionals, speakers as San Jose and Okayama, San Antonio, Kumamoto, Omaha, Shizuoka, Honolulu, Sakai, Osaka, Boston, where I'm from, I'm very happy, Boston and Kyoto, and another US-Japan city to be determined very shortly. The forums begin this week on November 12th and run to the end of January. The first forum will be held from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. PST on November 12th between San Jose and Okayama. And Okayama and Japan, which have been sister cities for over 63 years. The city of Okayama is Shin's hometown in Japan. In each forum, 5 different pre-selected young professionals representing their cities from both countries will discuss a specific business-related topic that each paired city chose in advance. For example, for San Antonio, Kumamoto, they picked resilience. San Jose and Okayama picked COVID-19. Each forum is scheduled for full 2 hours and privately held on Zoom meeting, where 5 US speakers and 5 Japanese speakers will have deep conversations on a specific topic. In the beginning of each forum, city officials from both cities, organizers, and special guests are expected to provide brief remarks and welcome messages. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you very much, everyone. Please enjoy today.
Mike, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I'm pleased to now introduce Keisuke Shimoyamada from the Junior Chamber International Japan, a national partner of KIF Japan and a national host with KIF for this forum. JCI Japan is coordinating with KIF Japan on the Japan side to outreach to their local chapter members and to today's panelists. Keisuke, please take it away.
僕でいいですか？下山田さんじゃなくていいですか？
皆さんおはようございます。And good afternoon, everyone. 私は日本青年会議所の下山田圭介と申します。本日このようにサンノゼ市と岡山市がこういった初のですね民間外交のZoomを通した民間外交の機会を持てることを非常に嬉しく思っております。 昔ですね、私はカリフォルニアに、I lived in the States for 7 years, and at that time I was in Los Angeles and graduating from a University of California, Los Angeles. And then now I'm back in Japan, and I'm really glad to have this kind of opportunity to bridge between the city of San Jose and Okayama. And I would like to keep this and a friendship grow. And I like to finish this opening remark with the quote from Woody Allen. And he says, 80% of success is showing up. So basically, like all of you here already showed up, and we can start from here to accelerate our friendship for and further development of a friendship. Thank you very much.
Isn't technology great when it works? Keisuke, thank you very much for that bilingual introduction. That was great. I love it. 80%. Yep. We're all here. So that's half the battle. Thank you, Yen. All right. I'm now pleased to introduce Koichi Takayama, president of JCI Okayama, a local chapter of JCI Japan. Koichi, take it away.
岡山青年会議所の今年理事長を務めてます、高山光一と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いします。我々は20歳から40歳までの青年で活動しています。これから岡山を支えるリーダーの育成であったりとか、岡山のまちづくり、そのことを考えながら活動させてもらってます。私もサンノゼ行ったことはないんで、ぜひ行ってみたいなと思っておりますし、また皆さんにもぜひこの岡山の町へ遊びに来ていただきたいなというふうに思っております。今日は貴重な機会いただきましたので、いい時間にできればと思います。どうぞよろしくお願いします。
Great. Okay, 大丈夫ね? Oh, we're good? So, yes, Koichi, we welcome you to San Jose. We look forward to seeing you here. All right, I'm now pleased to introduce from San Jose, the San Jose City Council member, Raul Perales. He's the council member for District 3, which happens to be part of our San Jose Japantown. And so he's very visible there, as well as the downtown core and surrounding neighborhoods. As a lifelong resident of San Jose, Raul saw an opportunity to further his commitment to public service and left an 8-year career with the San Jose Police Department to run for city council. Raul, unfortunately, is not able to join us, but he shares a video with us. So with that, Takato, if you could please show his video, that'd be great. I think you need to start it up again, but make sure you click the audio. Takato, もう一回やり始めないといけないので、で、オーディオをクリックしないといけないのね。シェアするときに。それをしないと音声が聞こえないので。You have to restart it, and then you have to make sure that when you share screen share, you click the share computer audio. Well, it should not matter on his side, but it's really, when you do the screen share, you'll see an option to click audio, share the computer audio. He's got to do that.
Our Japan-United States Youth Economic Forum. My name is Raul Perales, and I'm the council representative for District 3 in San Jose, which encompasses the downtown core and all the surrounding neighborhoods. I'm proud to be here today to show my support and continue to work and build our relationship with our sister city in Okayama. The San Jose-Okayama relationship has been in place since 1957. And it's a result of the citizen diplomacy movement begun by U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Okayama, Japan, and San Jose, California established a sister city affiliation on May 25th, 1957. Okayama and San Jose is the third sister city affiliation within the United States since the inception of the program, and it's the first and longest within the city of San Jose. The San Jose Okayama Sister City is the official community committee recognized by the city of San Jose in working with the city of Okayama and the city of San Jose, California. The group was formed in 2015 by local, all-volunteer community members who understood the importance of this relationship and wanted to make sure that it was established for our city. This committee is important and plays a key role in providing opportunities to our city, our youth, and our communities. One of those opportunities is the student exchange program that allows for students to connect with other students in Japan, share their stories about life in San Jose, and develop valuable skills. This exchange allows for growth and the ability to experience other cultures, traditions, and learn about daily life in Japan. In 2018, I had the pleasure of participating in the San Jose Okayama Sister City's 60th anniversary trip to Okayama, Japan, where I was able to experience firsthand the beauty and culture that makes Okayama a special place that it is. It really allowed me to experience food, architecture, and the importance of tradition. Our city's relationship continues to be one of our strongest, and even through this pandemic, we are still working with our partners throughout Okayama so we can continue to share our cultures and communities with one another. It is also important to mention that on August 5th, San Jose Okayama Sister Cities joined the 50 cities throughout the United States and 13 prefectures in Japan in commemoration of 75 years of peace following the atomic bombing in Japan. The Bells for Peace was an opportunity to unite with our sister city program and ring our bells. Participating in this year's Japan-United States Youth Economic Forum, organized by the Junior Chamber International Japan and Yamada International Foundation, provides a great opportunity to deepen our economic, cultural, and educational exchanges while allowing for us to create a mutual understanding and international cooperation between our communities. This forum also contributes to the continuous improvement of quality of life and the empowerment of youth to get involved and help to create a difference. It is crucial to provide our youth with the support, resources, and access to forums such as these, where they are able to learn and grow as they are the future leaders of both of our cities. I look forward to continuing to build our relationship with Okayama, Japan, and look forward to visiting there again sometime soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Raul. Yes. So now I'm pleased to introduce Yoshiyuki Kamei, the Director General, Citizens Cooperative Bureau for the city of Okayama. Kamei-san will give us a short greeting, and then play a promotional video of Okayama City. Kamae-san, please take it away.
日本の皆さん、おはようございます。アメリカの皆さん、こんばんは。岡山市市民共同局長の亀井義行です。この度の日米の民間団体による日米サブナショナル国際青年フォーラムの開催にあたり、サンノゼ市と姉妹都市である岡山市を代表してご挨拶を申し上げます。コロナ禍において国際交流事業の実施が難しい中、Zoom での開催にご尽力いただいた関係の皆様には、心から敬意と感謝の意を表する次第です。このフォーラムでは、本日の岡山市三ノ瀬市での開催を皮切りに、6組の日米の姉妹都市で開催されると伺っております。岡山市三ノ瀬市においては、新型コロナウイルス、学んだ教訓とビジネスの未来について話し合うと伺っておりますので、活発な議論が繰り広げられることを期待しております。そして今日参加された皆様にとって今回の Zoom 会議が実りのあるものとなることを祈っております。さて、岡山市と三ノ瀬市とは、先ほどラウル・ペラレス市議会議員がおっしゃった通り、1957年に岡山市にとっても初めてとなる姉妹都市縁組を締結しました。姉妹都市締結以来、両市の間では交換留学生や専門家の相互派遣をはじめ、経済、スポーツ、音楽、教育などさまざまな分野で交流を行い、友好の絆を深めてまいりました。2017年には姉妹都市締結60周年を記念し、岡山市民友好親善訪米団をはじめ、岡山商工会議所、岡山学芸館高校和太鼓部など、総勢100名を超える人々が三ノ瀬市を訪れ、盛大な歓迎を受けました。2018年には小山田さん、ペラレス市議、今回アメリカ側パネリストのエラノア・坂本さんも参加された三ノ瀬市民訪日団、総勢34名が岡山市を訪れ、市民・行政が一体となった交流を行いました。近年では両市の間で中高生の相互派遣を行っています。2018年には三ノ瀬市から5名の高校生が岡山市を訪れ、2019年には岡山市から8名の中学生が三ノ瀬市を訪問するなど、ホームステイや交流プログラムなどを通じて若い世代の友好も深めているところです。60年以上の長きにわたって培った両市の友好の絆を今後もより一層深めてまいりたいと考えておりますので、皆様方には引き続きご理解、ご協力いただきますようよろしくお願い申し上げます。それではここで岡山市の歴史的な名所を紹介した動画をご覧いただきたいと思います。 ありがとうございました。私も20年前にサンノゼ市を訪問させていただきまして、サンノゼ市民の皆様と交流をさせていただいた経験がございます。最後になりますが、このフォーラムの成功と両市のますますの友好交流の発展を祈念いたします。
Thank you very much. That was a beautiful video. Makes us want to go back to Okayama for sure. So thank you very much for sharing that. What I'd like to do now is actually start the panelist discussion. And as Mike Holland expressed earlier, today's topic is lessons learned and the future in business post-COVID-19. But before we start, I would like to invite each of the panelists to briefly introduce themselves and take about 30 seconds each. Please keep in mind that there are translators, so if you could speak slowly, slower than me, that would be helpful. So with that, we'll start with the US side. And Ray Furuta, if I could have you do a quick introduction, that'd be great. Please turn on your microphone and take it away. Ray, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ray Furuta. I am a concertizing flutist based in San Jose, California. I grew up here in San Jose, but lived in New York City for many years, where I pursued my education. And when I graduated with my doctorate in 2015, I moved back to San Jose, where I was hired to be the professor of performance practice and community engagement at Santa Clara University within the music department. And so I am both an educator and a performing artist now professionally.
Ray, thank you very much. And I've seen Ray play, and it's amazing. So yeah, I can attest for your talent. Thanks, Ray. Mitch Butler, if you can unmute yourself and give us a quick introduction, that'd be great.
Perfect. Again, hello, everyone. Pleasure being here. Thank you to everyone for putting this on. Thank you, Kathy, for inviting me to join. Looking forward to it. I'll keep it quick. Like you said, Michael, again, my name's Mitch Butler, born and raised in San Jose, highly involved in Japantown here in San Jose with a lot of the organizations and community efforts. Moved out of San Jose for college and soccer for about 10 years, moved up to Sacramento. Did a lot of work at the state capitol with a lot of nonprofits like the California Asian Chamber of Commerce and the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce. Still do a lot of projects with them here today, a lot of yearly events, contract out with them. Moved back here a couple years back, actually live in the middle of San Jose, Japantown now, amongst everything now. Continue to help with the community that I grew up in. And again, look forward to helping everyone out here today.
Mitch, welcome home, and thank you very much. Appreciate that. Next, we have Eleanor Sakamoto. Eleanor, take it away.
Hi, my name is Eleanor Sakamoto. I'm a fourth generation Japanese American, so I have ties to Japan that way. I'm currently working as a what's known as a Japanese to English localization specialist. So basically, I take Japanese works, primarily anime and manga, and I translate them into English. And then I make sure that the English is understandable to an English-speaking audience without losing the authenticity of the original Japanese.
Excellent. Eleanor, thank you very much. That is what I guess what people would say nuance, right? When people lose the nuance of the actual subject matter that's trying to be copied back and forth. So
exactly,
that's critical work. Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Next up, we have Irma Garcia. Irma, take it away.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. I am Irma Garcia from the Mineta Transportation Institute, where our founder is Norman Y. Mineta, former Secretary of State at the United States Department of Transportation. I also a Japanese American, so we have some connection in that area. I serve as the Communication and Operations Manager at the Mineta Transportation Institute, and that affords me the opportunity to work with the youth of the San Jose area and also expanded to the larger Bay Area. And I look forward to learning different opportunities that the Japanese sister city has to teach us.
Great, Irma. Thank you very much. You forgot the detail about Norm being the mayor of San Jose.
I did. He just has so many roles in our, area that it skips my mind.
Yeah, no, just teasing you. Thank you very much, Irma. All right, next up we have Bianca. And Bianca, I hope I don't mess this up. Ashalu? Ashalu. Oh, my apologies. Bianca, take it away.
Hi, I'm Bianca Ashalu. I am the CMO and co-founder of Nirvana Soul Coffee Purveyors. We are on a mission to bring people together through the power of coffee and tea. So I opened this first shop in downtown San Jose with my sister just 2 months ago. We are San Jose natives, and my career outside of coffee has been spent in tech. I've worked in Silicon Valley since I graduated from St. Mary's in Moraga. And I lead a team now of amazing marketers at a cloud-based software company. So thank you all for having me.
Wait a minute. So you have your day job and then you run a coffee shop?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Go, girl. All right. Thank you very much, Bianca. What I'd like to do now is hand it over to the Okayama side and have them do self-introductions. And so we're going to start with Koichi Takayama. Please take it away.
はい、はじめまして、高山光一と申します。先ほども申し上げましたが、JCI 岡山の今年理事長をさせていただいています。仕事の方はプロパンガスとかインフラを扱う仕事をしています。今日は非常に楽しみにしておりますので、どうぞよろしくお願いします。
Great. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Yusuke Takabatake-san. Please take it away.
はい、どうも、こんにちは。私は高畑祐介と申します。岡山では、リユースに関係する会社を経営しております。私も2018年からJCI 岡山の方に入らせていただいて、岡山のまちづくりにも携わらせていただいております。本日はどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Yukihiro Nigaki. Please take it away.
はい。JCI 岡山の、新垣幸宏と申します。仕事は、税理士事務所をやっております。本日は、国際的な、友情を深めていきたいと思いますので、よろしくお願いします。
Great. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Kyo Nari Ishii. Mr. Ishii, take it away.
はい、皆さん、こんにちは。岡山青年会議所の石井と言います。私は仕事はIT 関係ですね。IT に関わる仕事をしています。で、私は岡山青年会議所には JCI 岡山に入ってからはすごく長い期間があるんですけども、サンノゼ JC と姉妹都市っていうのは知ってはいたんですけども、 まさかこうやって、ウェブを通じてお会いできることがあるというふうには想像してなかったので、すごく楽しみにしてました。今日はよろしくお願いいたします。
Great, thank you very much. So next we have Takaki Kato. Mr. Kato, take it away.
はい、こんにちは。岡山青年会議所の加藤孝明と言います。私は、第48回衆議院議員候補者としてですね、1年半ほど活動していた時期がありました。ただですね、私が国政に立っていいのかなというところもいろいろありまして、それで一回職を辞してですね、弁護士と併存しながらずっとやってます。現在はもう弁護士一本で、本職のまま、岡山市とですね、たまに喧嘩をしたり、いろんな行政ともバトルしたりしながら仕事もしてます。私もサンノゼには興味がありますので、ぜひできればこのメンバーで来年一度はサンノゼに行きたいなと思いますので、どうぞ本日よろしくお願いします。
Well, all the folks from Okayama, we welcome you to San Jose anytime. And so when we have the pandemic go away and travel is allowed, we welcome you and we look forward to hosting you in San Jose. What I'd like to do now is thank you guys all very much for your self-introductions. And we'd like to now start on the question side. We've received questions from both sides. And what we'd like to do is for each question, have two panelists from the San Jose side and two panelists for the Okayama side address each question. And the way we're going to do this is, since we've gotten 5 questions from the US side and 5 questions from the Okayama side, we're going to start with the US side first. The second question will be from the Okayama side. And then the third question will be from the US side. And then the fourth one will be from the Okayama side. And we'll go back and forth like that. The challenge will be time. And so what we'd like to do is ask each of the panelists to limit their response to no more than 2 minutes. And I will give you a sign or I'll make a little noise so you'll know that your time is coming up. So with that, the first question from the US side: what unexpected good solutions in business have you found as a result of the challenges you face with COVID-19? Let me repeat that. What unexpected good solutions in business have you found as a result of the challenges you face with COVID-19?
I can jump in here.
And so what I'd like to do is ask the Okayama folks to respond first. And I've got 2 people that they've actually put in the slot. So Mr. Nigaki-san, can you please start? Nigaki-san, 大丈夫？
はい。
はい、答えをお願いします。
私の仕事上ですね、特段仕事で新たなビジネススタイルを構築するということは、正直、ありませんでしたが、お客さんとよく相談を、コミュニケーションを取れるようになりました。はい、それだけです。
はい、ありがとうございました。じゃあ、ついでに、高山さん、もうこの質問に対してちょっと答えお願いできますでしょうか。
はい。やっぱりこのコロナになって、今までずっと対面でしか、仕事をしてなかったのが、ウェブを使って仕事ができるようになったのは本当に、効率的だなというふうに思ってます。少しずつ人と会う機会も増えてはきましたけど、まだまだウェブでやって時間の短縮であったりするところは増えたなと思うんで、やっぱり今回の質問に関しては僕はウェブに尽きてしまうかな、ウェブに尽きるかなというふうには思ってます。逆にアメリカなんかではずっとこのウェブって活発に使われてたんですかね。
はい。 結構使ってますね。
あ、そうですか。
はい。
はい、ありがとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございました。So from the US side, I heard somebody utter, hey, I can take that. And I didn't catch who that was, but I never want to turn someone who's anxious to respond down. So who was that uttered that word? Come on, I know you US folks aren't shy.
I mean, I could go ahead and talk. I think my name's listed for this one. So
Yes, Mitch, you actually
Okay,
were, but
cool.
I heard somebody utter, hey, I can take that. And I didn't want to.
I think it might have
not
been
give them the
Bianca
opportunity.
too. I think Bianca might have.
Yes,
said
Bianca and Mitch, you guys are both on for
Yeah,
this
my
one.
name
So
was listed too,
Mitch,
so,
why don't you go ahead and start?
happy
Mitch, you
to
take it away.
Answer. I will agree. The internet has made this whole situation way better. I couldn't even imagine what it would have been like had we not been able to communicate online. And for our business specifically, we started selling beans online before we opened our physical location, which is something we hadn't considered doing beforehand. And that has made a world of difference. We have people ordering beans from all over the United States, which is really cool. And then also, even in us being apart, I do think there's been some sense of community just because we're all in this together. I know for Nirvana Soul, we've gotten a ton of community support. I know that's not the same for everyone, but for our business, it has been really, really hopeful and inspiring for people to be able to come by and do it in a safe environment, a clean environment, which is another good solution that the customer experience in a sort of weird way has become a little bit better. People get to experience our shop without crowds around them. They come in 6 people at a time, and everyone gets to enjoy the artwork and then be on their way with their drink or waffle. So there's been some good things that have come out of it on our part, but I know that experience is not the same for every business.
Bianca, thank you. Mitch, did you have something to add to that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, adding on to that too as well, being involved in Japantown and all of the restaurants here, one thing that they had to do to adapt was, do a lot of to-go meals or set up things outside and set up patio dining outside. So I think, like you said, everyone's in it together and they're just coming together creatively to see what they can and can't do to get through this together. And I think a lot of the loyalty shows up with the people that are in the community and friends and family and word of mouth, and they really want to help support because small business is taking such a huge hit through all this. I think it's really important that everyone is involved and stays together through it all.
Great, thank you very much. You know, one of the common things I heard, I think from a few of you guys, right, is the reach. And when we say reach, it's the reach that you would normally not get without COVID. And so that has blown up, right? Because now look at this, we're now doing a forum, Japan and the US, where in reality, we probably wouldn't have done this. We would have done it in person. And so by the fact that we're having to go COVID, we've had to do this. And so it's kind of forced the hand. The other thing you talked about was community. And I totally agree, right? Because I'm a big part of the community, just like you, Mitch and Bianca, where it's really the support of the community that keeps everything going. And I think that's so true for our little San Jose, Japantown as well as downtown. And then I love, Bianca, the point you made about COVID has actually made it better because now you have space, time, and cleanliness that's been forced on us because of the requirements to keep everything clean. So in some respects, I think that's helped businesses. So if you look at it on a positive spin, I totally agree with you guys. I'm watching Hiroko. Okay, I think we're good. Very good. Thank you guys very much. So on the Japan side, we have a question now as well. Is there any support that the youth provided to the towns or cities in response to the corona pandemic? And if so, what kind of support do they provide? I'll repeat that again. Is there any support that the youth provided to the town or city in response to the corona pandemic? And if so, what kind of support do they provide? And Mitch and Bianca, I have you guys down again. So if you'd like to respond to that one.
I could jump in first for this one. So actually being a high school basketball coach here in San Jose at Cristo Rey High School, those in San Jose might know. We had a lot of students get together that wanted to create, foods and meals for these low income families that, were not able to work during the time because a lot of these families lost their jobs due to COVID, right? So they're not able to work during these times and furloughed or whatnot. So a lot of these students actually came together through their ideas and wanted to collect food and create food and distributions throughout the school. So we actually go to the school, socially distanced once a week, collect food and actually hand out food to a couple hundred families at the school each week. So that's something that, during these tough times, these kids, high school kids aren't able to attend class. They're not able to hang out with their friends. And here they are together thinking of others, coming up with creative solutions to help each other out, their families, their friends, in ways that they probably never would have thought in the past. So I think that's a great thing that our youth here in this community are thinking of others, and they really want to do better for everyone.
That's awesome, Mitch. Thank you very much for sharing that. Let me give Hiroko a chance to catch up. Okay. So Bianca, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I'll say like youth here obviously are also very tech savvy, right? So they're sharing businesses, they're pushing for everyone to go out and support small businesses. They're using Instagram and other things. They're tagging these businesses and letting everyone know what they have to offer. And that's such a big part of getting visibility to these businesses that otherwise might not have gotten that kind of attention. And they keep showing up, right? So we're very fortunate here that people are still going out and picking up food or having it DoorDash to them, as Mitch mentioned. And so I think having that technology and having them be sort of tech native and always had this at their fingertips, they kind of jumped right into action and knew exactly what to do. So this would not be as easy without the youth and what they're providing on that side.
That's great.
Mike, before you move on to the next, I just want to make sure that everybody speaks much slower, so translate.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm watching Hiroko's voice, so our mouth, so I can see that she's finished. But yeah. I hear you, Shin.
Well, to translate simultaneously.
Yes. Boy, Hiroko's she's gonna earn her keep today. Boy, howdy. Just to add to what you both said, right? I think most of the young kids now, they grew up with an iPhone in their hand or with a smartphone in their hand. So digital platforms are second nature to them. I know my kids, they're always glued to this thing, right? Where the older generation is not so tech savvy. And so to have these young tech savvy folks come in and just help or do simple things as post and share that, it just helps to propagate the message. And we saw that in so many instances throughout this year. So you guys absolutely, yeah. Those kids are amazing. So on the Japan side, I'd like to hear from Okayama's Mr. Kato, if you would like to respond to this question. Kato-san, お願いしてもいいでしょうか。
はい、私はですね、この問題については、そうですね、自分も質問したところがあるんですけど、結局、今まで全くつながっていなかったこのサンノゼ、例えば今回のこのようなことも、おそらくコロナ禍だったからこそ実現できたものの一つかなと思ってまして、このウェブを用いたことにより、今まで全くつながっていなかった国と国がつながったり、おそらく仕事と仕事がつながったりということ、新たなビジネスチャンスになることも間違いないと思っていますし、例えば自分の仕事、私なんかで言ったら、例えば弁護士しているところもありまして、もう日本の裁判所というのはおそらくアメリカから見たら非常に遅れててですね、多分化石時代のような話をしてまして、いまだにファックスを使ったりとかですね、裁判所に行かなあかんという話で、裁判があるたびに裁判所に行ってるんですけれども、そういったものが今後は例えば Teams とか Zoom とかでできるようになるという方向で今動いてまして、そうなってくると、例えば私が日本に、岡山にいながら別に東京で裁判することも簡単にできますし、北海道でできることもすぐできると。そういうことになってくると、結局弁護士としても県でいるという意味があまりなくなってきまして、国が全体で一つになるということが考えられます。そうすると、日本の弁護士が簡単にアメリカで弁護できるかどうかっていう問題はあるんですけれども、もっと国際的な我々の仕事の幅も増えてくるのかなと思ってますので、そういった意味で、これが新しいことにつながるんじゃないかなというふうに思ってます。はい、以上です。
はい、ありがとうございました。新垣さん、ちょっと答えする前に質問ですけども、若い子たちがどうやって今回のコロナの影響で、影響というか、コロナのせいで助けたかっていう質問ですね。
ちょっといいですかね。ちょっと岡山側もスピーチをもう少しゆっくりしていただけたら、敦子さんが翻訳をできるので、このぐらいのスピードで話していただけたら助かります。
気をつけます。
敦子さん大丈夫ね。 Oh, now I can. I'm sorry. I was watching your lips move. No, that's okay. I'm gonna move on. I want to have Mr.
はい、
Nigaki answer the
そうで
question
すね。
next.
まあ、
So, Nigaki-san,
我
ですが
々の、まず JCI、岡山で、やったことは、まあ、なかなかコロナ禍で、外に出れないという中で、そういうエンタメのエンターテインメントをこう提供するという意味で、まあ、アメリカでも昔開催をしていたドライブインシアターという車の中で映画を見るという、そういう娯楽をですね、提供させていただき、大変好評でありました。そういったまあ、他の NPO とかあるいは行政とは違った視点で、まあ今年、若者らしい斬新な発想で、市民の方々に何か提供できたかなと思っております。
Okay, we're going to move on to the second question from the US side. From the US, how could young professionals in both countries work together to strengthen business relationships between the US and Japan during and after the pandemic? So how could young professionals in both countries work together in strengthening business relationships between US and Japan? 加藤さん、岡山の加藤さん、お願いしてもいいでしょうか。
はい、たびたびすみません、加藤でございます。まあ、どのように協力し合ってというのは、おそらくまず最初ですね、まあ、知り合いというか、まあ、自己紹介から始まって、何度かおそらく、まあ、話をすることを通じたり、食事をしたりすることをしながら、おそらく始まっていくんじゃないのかなと思います。だから今回のような、まあ、セミナーというかこのようなフォーラムをまず最初に、次、そのセカンドステップとして一体何をするのかということもやはり考えた上でですね、先ほど私が言いました全員でサンノゼに行こうといったことも多分一つだと思いますし、逆にサンノゼの皆様が岡山に来られるということも一つかと思います。そういったことを通じながら、お互いのビジネス、一体何をしているんだということをお互いが知った上で、どうお互いがお互いを使うことができるかと、絶対使えることがあると思いますんで、それでパートナーシップを結んだ上でですね、まあ、強化できればいいんじゃないのかなというふうに思います。はい。
はい、ありがとうございました。
すいません。通訳が間に合ってないので、全くで通訳できてないので、もう少しペースを落としてもらえれば、このぐらいのペースで話していただければ、いいと思います。すいません。
はい、再度気をつけます。モアスローリーで。
はい、お願いします。じゃあ、高畑さん、おゆっくりで同じ質問ですけども、今回のコロナの影響で、どうやってそのね、日本とアメリカ、若いそのヤングプロフェッショナルズ、一緒になんかそういうコラボができるかできないかっていう質問ですけども。
はい、ありがとうございます。こういうズームなどで、フェイス2フェイスでお話しするっていうのは、やはり今まで、まずなかったことなので、こういう状態がまず始まったことは本当に大きい一つかなと思います。このようなフォーラムがあることで、今まで考えることがなかったことをまず考えるようになるかなというのが、始まりかなとも思うんですけども、具体的に、ビジネスとして、 日本とアメリカで何ができるかっていうところは、まだ僕の中でもあまり見えてませんが、やはりこう情報っていう意味では、すごく共有、いろいろなことができるのかなと思ってます。で、やはりこう日本とアメリカで考えられているやり方だったりとか、手法だったりとかっていうのは、大きく違うんだなということも、感じさせていただいているので、こういう情報共有の中で、ビジネスとしてこうお互いの地域で、これから活用できることっていうのは、いっぱいあるんじゃないのかなという認識をしています。なので、こういう機会をこう増やしていくことで、まずはこうお互いの地域で、新たなことが起こせるんではないのかなというのはイメージとして感じています。はい。
はい、ありがとうございました。Okay, we're going to move to the next question. This is coming from Japan. Well, I'm sorry. No, I take that back. I jumped ahead. We want to hear from the US side. So Eleanor, are you queued up? Yes, you are. Eleanor, same question, right? How could young professionals in both countries work together to strengthen business relationships between the US and Japan during and after this pandemic? So Eleanor, your thoughts?
Well, as Kato-san and Takabatake-san said, it's difficult to cultivate business relationships in this under these current conditions, but business is always about finding opportunities and finding areas of need, finding things that you believe in that you want to share with other people. And because I believe, the human experience, whether we're American or Japanese, is the same. The things that we need right now in this uncertain era are pretty much the same. So if we can have conversations like we're having now, international conversations that we probably wouldn't have been able to have prior to the pandemic, I think that we can find those areas of similarity. And the most important thing is continuing discussion, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key, right? Because as you heard, our Okayama folks said the same thing, which is you have these introductions and then you have the second steps where we can visit each other, but then you have to continue the conversation. So to resonate your point, absolutely. So Mitch, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think, to go off of, what everyone else previously said, I think like you just said as well, is continuing that conversation, right? During COVID-19, we could all jump on Zoom right now and we could talk about the issues and what we want to do to see change and how we could help. But I think it's really, once COVID-19 is over and we can travel, it's getting in front of a group of young professionals here in San Jose, here in California, the States, going over to Japan and doing like little study missions or something and really focus on and what we can do. At the Chamber of Commerce, the California Asian Chamber of Commerce, we did study missions every year and we would go to different countries, different states to see what they were best at, first at, and leader in. So those were kind of the three topics to see, whether it was businesses, individuals, new creative art spaces, things like that. So I think young professionals here, especially given the time, are looking for things to get involved with. So I think if we ask the questions to the proper groups and organizations, I think we'll have tons of support. So I think it's asking the proper people here now to get them involved and moving forward and staying active.
Very, very good. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a common theme, right? One is you already have this opportunity because of this forum, and now to take action, to take advantage of that. If we don't, then it would have been 2 hours wasted versus taking this opportunity to then do something with it. And I totally agree that I love the study mission idea, right? Where you take the best practices from both sides and share those, because everybody can learn from that. So I absolutely love that idea. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's move on to question number 2 from Japan. Their question is, what are the challenges in your area? What are the challenges in your area, and what are you doing about it? So let's see. I've got Eleanor. You're up on the San Jose side.
Challenges in our area. Well, we just had an election, so we have a president who's refusing to step down. That's an issue. Other than that, it's we have the holiday season coming up. I think that's probably our next big challenge. And for us in America, there are a lot of family holidays. So we've got Thanksgiving where people want to get together. We've got Christmas where people want to get together. And we have New Year's where people want to get together. And figuring out how to surmount the difficulty of staying safe and still connecting with people, I think is our next biggest challenge. I know that we have an ongoing event called Christmas in the Park every year, where Christmas trees are set up by different organizations and people go to see them with their families. This year that's had to change. They're still having it, but it's a drive-through. And you have to pay to see it. So we are finding ways to keep traditions going. I know at our Betsuin, our Buddhist church, we're having online services to try to connect people because, of course, in the Buddhist tradition, New Year's is the religious holiday and Christmas is the secular holiday. So we are finding ways to surmount those challenges, but it's difficult.
Yeah, I just saw the news piece on Christmas in the Park, and I says, hey, that's a very clever idea, because everybody gets to go in their own car and you get to pack your car with family and then you go through and get to see all the decorations. So I think that's really cool. Mitch.
Yeah, I think like Eleanor said, I think the biggest one coming up here in a couple of weeks is Thanksgiving, right? And that's around family and being told we can't hang out with family. And a lot of the family that we do see around Thanksgiving is probably the older generation families, grandparents, the bachans, the jichans, and not wanting to bring COVID into the house just in case, but wanting to hang out. So I think that's been happening for birthdays, for other holidays throughout the year. And the workaround that we've had for that is teaching them how to use technology and how to jump on a Zoom call, how to use your iPhone for a game or get on Facebook and things like that. So I think in a way it's taught our older generation to stay connected in a way. The ones that want to stay connected, obviously the older generation, I know my grandparents can be stubborn at times, but being able to stay involved is something, and see the grandkids is something that's really pushing them through. But I think that's for sure a challenge here moving forward.
That's great. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, my wife is telling me I have to quarantine for 2 weeks if I want to join them for Thanksgiving. So, and it's from today. I'm like, what?
And if I could add, it's also impacting all the restaurants. You know, this is their big money time of year. This is their peak season. So trying to figure out how to support restaurants and all of the other public spaces where we would usually get together is another big challenge that we're facing right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you for chiming in on that one too. From the Okayama side, Takabataka-san, can I get some comments from you? 同じ質問ですけども、これ日本側の質問ですけども、2番目。
Mike, if you can get Hiroko-san to translate for each speaker, that would be great. So Japanese I can hear.
よろしいですか？はい。まあ、岡山はですね、日本の中でも感染者が、とても多いという地域ではないんですけども、やはり感染者が多い地域は、経済自体がすごい浮き沈みを繰り返しています。感染者が多くなってきたなとなると、もう経済自体が落ち込んできたりしますし、できるだけ家から、先ほどもありましたが、できるだけ家から出ないとかっていう地域が出てきますんで、 そういう、それこそこう家から出ないということであれば、業種によってはこうテイクアウト、日本っていうのはあまりテイクアウトの文化がほとんど、テイクアウトだったり宅配の文化っていうのはあんまりなかったんですけども、その家から出ないっていうことをきっかけにこイノベーションじゃないですけども、やはりそういう文化が進んできたっていうのがあったりするので、いろいろ業種の中ではそういう新しい対応策というか、やり方っていうのがどんどん進んできてるなと思います。なので、ですが大多数の人はそのまま飲み込まれて、テイクアウトとかについていけないとか、そういうことになってたりするので、これからどんどんそういう社会的問題が出てくれば出てくるほど、いろいろ対応策っていうのは増えてくるのかなと思うんですけども、やはりそれぐらい大きいコロナっていうのは変化だったなというのがあるので、実際にはまだまだ対応できてないですけども、ちょっとずつそういう対応のやり方が変わってきてるなというふうに感じています。以上です。
はい、ありがとうございました。じゃあ、岡山の方から、高山さん、同じ質問に対してちょっと答えをお願いしてもいいでしょうか。
はい。さっき高畑君が言ったデリバリーっていうのは本当に便利になったなというふうに思います。子供が毎週のようにマクドナルドをデリバリーしたりだとか、この夏なんかはマンションのベランダで毎週バーベキューをしたりとかもしてましたし、非常に便利になった今までなかった生活様式だなっていうは思ってます。ビジネスの方で言うと、岡山は非常に製造業が多くて、車、船、鉄鋼業とか非常に多かったのが、一時期すごい、落ち込んだんで、ビジネスの面では非常に厳しかったなというふうに、思ってます。ただ、国とか、岡山県、岡山市が雇用を守るためにたくさん、補助金、助成金を出してくれたのは非常にありがたかったなというふうに思ってますし、そのおかげで救われた会社っていうのもたくさんあるんじゃないのかなと思ってます。一時に比べると少しずつ製造業も持ち直してきたなというふうに思ってますが、まだ、岡山もまさに最近感染者がどんどん増えてきてるんで、そのあたりでどうなっていくのかなっていうのは心配をしてますし、これからクリスマス年末にかけて人の動きがだいぶ増えてくるんで、これ以上増えなければいいなっていうのは思ってます。
はい、ありがとうございました。Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for your responses. I think the challenge is definitely having to deal with how do you take care of the holidays and things coming up when we all have to shelter in place. But the funny thing I always thought about Japan was that it's a obento or box lunch society, right? So you would think that the box lunches could be taken and sent out, but maybe not so. I guess you still have to go pick it up. Maybe there's an opportunity there for Uber Eats. All right. I thought there was either that or takuhai, kuroneko toka. Anyway. Yeah, but they should. They could. There's no reason why they can't. Their logistics is better than the US. All right. So let me move on to question number 3 from the US side. What do you think of your government's response to your issues for your company and the efforts? What do you think of your government's response to your issues for your company and their efforts? So from the Okayama side, if I could ask Mr. Ishii to respond. Okayama no Ishii-san, ちょっとお願いしてもいいでしょうか? 石さん大丈夫？
はいはい。ごめんなさい。はい。
いい。
はい。はい。そうですね、私がですね、仕事でその中小企業ってアメリカで言うのかわからないですけど、いわゆる、小規模の会社向けのいわゆるデジタル化の支援をさせていただくビジネスを今してるんですけども、日本はやっぱりこうアメリカと比べてこうデジタル化、IT 化がすごく遅れてます。で、いろんな要因があると思うんですけども、よく言われるのが、日本の国だったりとか行政がそもそもIT 化が遅れてるから民間の企業も遅れてるっていうのはよく言われるんですけども、今回このコロナの一件があって、政権も新しく総理大臣が変わってデジタル庁っていういわゆる国全体をデジタル化していこうという大きな流れが今できてますので、そういった意味では行政もこれから変わって、国全体のデジタル化というのが進むんじゃないかなというふうには予測しています。以上です。
Thank you very much. And next from Okayama, Mr. Nigaki-san.
はい、同じ質問でよろしいですか？
はい、同じ質問でお願いします。
はい。先ほども回答が、あったんですけども、そうですね、行政が今、我々に、岡山という地域でですね、支援をしていることは、非常にそういう、なんて言いましょうか、資金の面で中小企業を助けてくれているとは、思います。これから、取り急ぎの会社が存続する資金面でのですね、支援はしてくれておりますので、このコロナが何年続くかはわからないので、はい。うまく、なんて言いましょうか、他の業種に、合わないでも、オンライン上でも仕事ができるような、うまくそのビジネスモデルを転換できるような支援を今後は期待しております。
Great, thank you very much. So on the US side, or actually from the San Jose side, Irma, could I have you respond to the same question?
Yes, sure thing. Sure thing. So I'm going to choose to focus on the local government's response as opposed to the federal government's response, just because that tends to hit home a little bit more with small businesses. And like most businesses in the area, the closing of the businesses as a result of the shelter-in-place mandates felt abrupt and came with little notice, leaving a lot of us scrambling to identify a path forward. Fortunately, as an extension of San Jose State University, MTI was able to quickly adapt to a work-from-home lifestyle, doing our part in slowing the spread of COVID, which our local government and state government have greatly encouraged across different platforms, with a really specific look to the different languages that are spoken here. From the perspective of a small business owner, my family owns 2 local restaurants, and the coronavirus relief grant provided by the federal government did offer businesses some relief, as the name suggests, and allowed them to keep their doors open during the pandemic. These were largely encouraged and promoted by local governments and community groups, who also provided resources for small businesses to better understand the grant. And perhaps just as important again, they provided that information in many different languages. So while there have been some hiccups along the way with the information regarding reopening and what those requirements are, given that this is the government's first time dealing with a pandemic in the last 100 years, I think we can give them a little bit of leniency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irma. So Bianca, same question. If you want to add some additional comments there.
Sure thing. So we opened our business as shelter in place already had been in motion. We actually closed an SBA loan, a small business association loan, right at the beginning. And so the federal relief I felt there was that they waived a few of our payments. But I'll echo Irma, and I think clearly the local response has been a little bit better than the federal response. I've lived in downtown San Jose for 10 years. And so I recall a restaurant across the street from me and how hard it was for them to get outdoor dining. All of a sudden, those regulations seem to have gone away. People are building outdoors, they're building into the streets. We have an incredible area now on Post Street where they put all these things out to a turf in a little park. That stuff happened really fast. That would have never happened had this not been a pandemic. And so I can also see the bright side because I understand San Jose needs more of that. And for the government to have no choice but to make it possible for people to eat outdoors and spend time outdoors, that's a great benefit of what's going on right now, despite the larger issues surrounding the pandemic and federal responses.
You know, you guys both bring up a good point, which is there's so many laws and health regulations and rules. And so when you have something like this that forces the hand, it's amazing what innovations can come out of this, right? And sometimes for the good. So if you look at it on the flip side and you extract all the good, there were some nice little gems that came out of this. And I totally applaud, I mean, the government's quick reaction, because otherwise these businesses would have just really, really suffered. But opening it up to the outdoors and letting people do that, I thought was very, very good and swift. And it's beautiful, right, in San Jose. The winter's another story, but that's something that we'll have to deal with as it comes.
Yeah, we'll be crossing that bridge pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. All right, thank you guys very much. That's great. All right, next we have a question from the Japan side. And that is, during COVID-19, this pandemic, the business has had to change from in-person to more of a virtual online, either events or activities. in that context, have you considered providing new business opportunities between Japan and the US? So during the COVID pandemic, businesses have had to change from in-person to virtual, whether it be online events or meetings. In that context, have you considered providing new business opportunities between Japan and the US? And from the San Jose side, Irma, you're up.
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So during the pandemic, I mean, businesses have had to change, right? We couldn't do in-person anymore because of social distancing. So because of that, a lot of work from home, things have had to pivot, right? So we've all gone virtual. Everything is either online or, doing everything remotely. In that context, have you considered either in your business or your personal new business opportunities between the US and Japan?
We've definitely looked into some more international opportunities because we have this new platform where now everyone is familiar with Zoom. If we look back to the early stages of the pandemic and the shutdown, a lot of my meetings were maybe training the older generation how to use Zoom and how to make the most of this kind of online forum. And there was definitely a steep learning curve because not everyone was familiar with the differences that Zoom, for example, could afford people in a webinar format versus a meeting format. So bringing people on board has really opened doors to communicating with people beyond our borders. And I believe that at this time, we're looking towards reinforcing those opportunities. So putting on conferences that will allow people to reach our university, our research, our workforce development opportunities from different countries. And it's a wonderful opportunity that perhaps had this pandemic not happened, we may not have looked at quite as intently as we are right now.
That's great. Thank you very much. Bianca.
So this is a tough question because we obviously are just getting off the ground. And so a lot of our months have been spent trying to figure out how to run a business. So, we're one day at a time over here. And we did it in a pandemic. So there's a lot to deal with before even considering how we can go beyond San Jose. So I would say for our part, we haven't really looked much into it, but I think that the thing we love about coffee and tea is that it absolutely brings people together. It is a common thing that is understood and beloved across any borders, countries. And so if there are opportunities, which I know that there are coffee companies that are even going there now, we would love to be in that company as well. So it's just not for us yet.
I guess one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So I want to throw the question back to Japan. So Okayama, same question. Ishi-san.
はい。そうですね。日本でもこのコロナがあって、日本だとテレワークっていうんですけど、そちらだとなんてリモートワークですかね。
リモートワークか、work from home とか、いろいろ言い方あるけども、はい。
が、日本でも一気に広がりを見せてきました。で、そういう働き方ができるようになると、場所って関係なくなるじゃないですか。岡山じゃなくても東京でもいいですし、北海道でもいいですし、そうなれば、本当言えばアメリカでも違う国の方でも一緒に仕事はできるはずなの。そこはやっぱりその言葉の壁だったりとか、法律だったりとか、いろんな壁があって、なかなか一緒に仕事っていうのもできない状況はまだまだあるんですけども、今後そういった壁が取っ払われる、もしかしたら皆様ともいろんな仕事のを、なんていうんでしょう、一緒にやっていける形っていうのもイメージできる時代が来るんじゃないかなというふうに、楽しみにしてます。
ありがとうございました。 じゃあ、同じ質問で、岡山の二垣さん、お願いしてもいいでしょうか。
はいはい、すみません。ごめんなさい。どれでしたかね。
日本の3番目です。
はい。そうですね。先ほどと回答自体は同じなんですけども、なかなか、いざね、国をまたぐのは、このご時世、難しいですし、なかなかのビジネスの障壁にはなってたと思うので、どんな商売であれ、オンライン上で、初対面で打ち合わせをして、多分クロージングまで持っていけることにはなると思いますので、その障壁はなくなると思いますし、国内、国外問わず、そのビジネス展開をしてくる人はね、必然的に増えるとは思います。はい。
はい、ありがとうございました。So, one of the things that I guess people mention, right, that distance is an issue, but with working from home and virtual environments, that barrier goes away. But then the second one was brought up, which was language. But if you look at what technology has come as far as translation tools, I don't know if you guys have ever used Google Translate, but that has come a long ways. And if you ever run any type of just even voice, it'll do a pretty darn good job. So I think those barriers in a very short period of time is going to come down. So no longer distance, no longer language should become an issue. So something to think about in the future for sure. I'd like to move on to question number 4 from the US side. What would you expect from city support? What would you expect from city support? And what would that look like? So from the Okayama side, I'd like to ask Mr. Takabatake to respond to that question. Takabatake さん大丈夫？ちょっと今ミュートしてますので。
はい、すいません。
はい、ありがとうございました。
正直、行政がどこまでできるかっていうことはあると思うんですけども、できれば、感染者の情報をしっかり出してもらうっていうことだったりとか、情報を開示してもらうっていうことは、すごく大事だなと思ってます。で、実際に、対策というか支援としては、やはり経済は少なからず疲弊しているので、やはりそこの、経済対策をしっかり後押ししてもらえるようなですね、このコロナもどこまで続くかもわからないので、正直どういう形の支援がいいのかはありますが、先ほどもから出てるデジタル化であったりとか、そういう意味での助成金とか、お金の広報支援っていうところでは、ただばらまくのではなくて、助成金であったりとか、そういったものを行政側も結構いろいろ活用しながら、デジタル化を推進するように支援してくれているので、今の形としては全然困っているという よりかは、そういう新しいツールをどんどん活用していくように変化を促していただけるっていうのは、行政のあり方としては、僕らはとても助かっているっていうのはありますので、そういう、ただお金をばらまくということではなくて、そういう形の支援していただけるっていうことは、行政のやり方としては、ありがたいなと感じています。以上です。
はい、はい、ありがとうございました。Great. Thank you very much. And Mr. Kato, Kato-san、奥山の加藤さん、お願いします。
はい、加藤です。先ほどですね、高畑が言いましたように、例えば、行政だからできることといえばですね、そのコロナの情報を出すと、うちの市では何人の人がコロナになりましたよと、出すのも確かに行政の仕事ですけど、そういった情報を出さないことも一つは行政の仕事なのかなと思ってまして、例えばもう岡山市は開き直って、コロナの方が何人出てももう出しませんと、ウェルカムコロナじゃないですけど、そんな行政があっても僕はいいんじゃないのかなと思ってます。今の日本において、コロナになるということは、正直、日本語で言うと、村八分になるということに等しくてですね、もう社会的地位が抹殺されるような場合もあります。実際、自殺者も出ています。そんなところで、コロナにかかるリスクを取るよりは、もう開き直ってしまって、うちの例えばもう行政、ガバメントもコロナウェルカムだというようなところがあってもいいんじゃないのかなと思ってたりもします。あと、こういう時に行政に期待するのは、やはり行政というのは、基本財政が破綻しないということなので、赤字になっても問題ないと考えてますので、こういった時にこそ積極的に行政に支援していただきたいなと、中小企業や、あまり裕福じゃない家庭等の支援を積極的にしていただいてですね、我々、その事業を徹底的に使っていただければなというふうに思います。以上です。
Thank you very much. All right, from the San Jose side, Ray, do you want to address this question?
Yeah, sure. So I do agree with everything that Takabatake-san and Kato-san said. I want to add, as I was thinking about this question, the city serves and protects its residents and its community. And so how can a city do its job, right? In a time when it's not existed or run in this kind of way. And so, I think what needs to be done is a reevaluation of its community's needs, whatever that is. I'm not necessarily alluding that there is one right answer. I think every city has its own, and its community has its own specific needs. Socially, I think is what I would specifically emphasize, rather than looking at a bottom line, for example, what is the bottom line? Seeing what do our people need on a social level? And Bianca mentioned, the Post Street sort of revitalization, and subsequently that, which I would say is honestly a social move, a move for social happiness. It also impacts the economy because people feel safe to go and be patrons of businesses, etc. Sort of, yeah. So I would say that would be my contribution to this is just that cities should be open and willing to reevaluate what its community, what its citizens' needs are, especially now, and being open to the fact that those needs may not be what they have always been, and we can't be so quick to silo communities as well. That there's sort of a broader needs as well as individual needs, and then adding to that the transparency that our colleagues mentioned, I think would only help fuel positive lifestyles during a pandemic like this, as well as contribute to a healthier economy when the economy is sort of on stilts.
Thanks, Ray. Irma, same question.
Okay, I can certainly agree with what my colleagues have said. I am highly in favor of a needs assessment about the pandemic, and especially as we go into the winter months, as you mentioned, Michael, there's going to be some changes, and we are going to have to cross an icy bridge when we get there. So,
yeah, literally.
Exactly. So we've seen the city support its citizens through some efforts. So there's been meal provision efforts, certainly providing free transportation in those initial first weeks through local bus services. BTA here locally really stepped it up throughout neighborhoods. There's signage encouraging people to only make essential trips. Also, several buses were used to create Wi-Fi hotspots for students who are distance learning, which was a very significant and purposeful endeavor from the city. And we've seen these adjustments made for small businesses. So allowing for those al fresco dining opportunities to really keep these businesses afloat. So as we head into winter, some of what we'd like to see is really open lines of communication that will outline what is permissible for businesses to stay open and how we can ensure the safety of patrons as well as the employees. And so again, just keeping the transparency between the different levels of government right down to the very owners of the restaurants, and making sure that it is accessible information. So whether that means simplifying legalese or changing the language in which that's delivered. And really clear communication from our state and local leaders is going to be essential to see us through this pandemic and especially through the winter season. Thank you.
Thanks, Irma. So following some of those similar lines, right, about leadership, a question from Japan came in about what impact will change with the country's top leaders have on our region. So this is very, very much associated with, the change in again, our administration, right? And Ray, you want to start us off?
Sure. So, I think that it's safe to say that, as human beings, we are what is it, herd mentality? I think that's what it's called, where we follow our leader, right? And we don't always agree with our leader, but somehow we follow. And there are some who lean more to listen to the leader and some who don't. And in this case, what I've observed with Donald Trump being the president of the United States is that no matter what he says, his followers believe him. And on the flip side, those who don't agree with him don't listen and don't agree with anything that he says. And so we have this sort of middle ground where whoever's leading will sort of guide the country in one way or the other. And I think in this very specific case, in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is important for us not to downplay what's going on. And as the sort of recurring theme of transparency, knowledge, all of these things are incredibly powerful. And if a top leadership position is feeding either veiled or fallacious material, it will only cause, one, it'll cause discourse between the communities that this leader is serving, but it'll also potentially lead to danger, as people can get sick and not really care or know, or whatever the case may be. And so I think that, again, in this very specific case, the change in leadership is only going to help, even though it's going to inevitably ignite discourse. It's only going to help the trajectory of our country, and I think our greater globe as well, as those in power are being transparent, are being honest, and have the people they serve in their minds rather than themselves or however you would want to describe it. So anyway, that would be my 2 cents.
That was very very politically correct. Thanks, Ray. So Irma, same question. Your thoughts, please.
Okay, well, toting along the same lines, with a perhaps more hopeful perspective for people returning to the idea of science being real and a general understanding that the communication will improve. I'm hoping that there will be less pettiness amongst the local leaders and the federal leaders, so that there isn't this very clear lines of division between people and therefore the states or groups that they represent. And with that, again, we'll go back to the improved communication efforts. So a change in leadership with someone who is perhaps more open to communication, and not only within our borders, but more expansive, as opposed to looking to perhaps only selectively make friendships. In this case, there's a much broader welcoming of new ideas. There's a more encouraging outlook on the possibility that this new administration is going to take. And with that, it has for lack of a better term, a trickle-down effect on the people of the nation. And I would hope to see that local leaders will embrace this new leadership position that this administration is going to take. And with really just kind of having the right people represent the coronavirus is the best way to put it.
Thanks, Irma.
Sure.
I think what both of you said, and it's its common thread is both communications and a unified front, right? Unity. And that's one of the things that, I mean, we as the United States of America, the first word is united. And I think that's what we have been missing, right? So, yeah. All right, thanks a lot. Because of time, we've got about 5-6 minutes left. What I'm going to do is jump to the next question, and it's coming from the US, and I want to have the Okayama folks address it because it's coming from the US. It doesn't make sense for the US folks to respond. So with that, what about all things that bring happiness to people?
今の質
The
問に
art,
対する回答
culture. Ah, ごめんなさい。So what about all things that bring happiness to people? The arts, culture, events, sports, educational opportunities. How should they be supported? What can you do? And what can the city do to help? So what I want to do is, this is a question from the US. I'd like to ask the Okayama folks to address this question.
なんかとても難しい質問をいただいて思ってるんですけど、この書いてある内容について言えば、多分市が何かをしてくれるっていうことは、こういうのについては僕はないのかなというふうには思ってます。岡山市はいろんなお金を出してくれたり、場を提供してくれたりすることはしますけど、こういったことについては、市役所とか市ではなくて、我々みたいな JCI みたいな団体であったりとか、そういった団体がこんなのをいろんな企画をして授業をしながら、町の人のために機会を提供することができるんじゃないかなと思ってます。今年我々 JCI の岡山でいうとコロナで中止になってできなかったですけど、子どもたちにスポーツをたくさんしてもらえるような機会を提供するような企画をしていたりだとか、いろんなお祭りもできなかったけど、ウェブでお祭りをしてみんなに見てもらったりだとか、そういった機会は僕たち JCI でこれからもっと作っていけるのかなというふうには考えてます。はい、以上です。
ありがとうございました。Great, thank you very much. Now, I've got 3 minutes left. Let's do this. I'm going to flip the switch on this question. So this is a question coming from Japan, and I'm going to have San Jose respond to this. This is the last question in the whole batch. In Japan, the lifestyle and the way of thinking are beginning to change significantly. What major changes are happening in the United States? San Jose, I've got Ray. You want to respond to this one, Ray?
Sure. I would, rather than maybe specifically speaking to San Jose, I think that what this question made me think about was individuals, and so it could be business people, it could be artists, it could be whatever, whomever. I don't think that this is necessarily a time for us to reinvent or redefine ourselves, but this is really an opportunity for us to rediscover ourselves and find ways that we can grow and change without necessarily changing who we are or what we do. And I think that all of this that's been happening has enabled that way of thinking. It's a sort of new state of open-mindedness that is only going to better everyone's lives once this is done, and once the pandemic is over. And so that question made me think about that this is our opportunity to really rediscover who we are, what our values are, things that are important to us, professionally or socially or whatever it may be. Yeah, the end.
Ray, thank you very much. All right. You know, we're coming up on the hour, and I want to thank everybody, panelists from both Okayama and San Jose, for your time today. And it was a very, very, I thought, very educational opportunity for us to kind of share our thoughts. And as I heard, I think the one thing that we can all understand between talking to each other is that in order for us to continue this conversation, right, we definitely need to just kind of start the conversation first. And that's what we've done here. So now the challenge is take it to the next step, reach out to each other, definitely continue to stay connected so that this conversation can continue on. And everybody kind of has similar types of challenges, right? Whether it be transparency or openness, having a united front, all those things are things that we want to see happen in the coming years. So I hope that you guys will take that to heart and do something about it, because words are great, but actions speak louder than words. So please take some action. There will be contact information shared tonight afterwards so that all the participants will have email addresses for the other side. And again, we have Google Translate these days. So, you know, you write in your native language and then run it through the translator. And hopefully you guys will keep your communications going. It's been a pleasure moderating for you guys. Thank you very much. Shin, thank you very much for sponsoring this and putting this all together. Atsuko-san and Hiroko-san, thank you very much for doing all the translation. I know it's an enormous task, but good job, you two. Shin, I don't know if you have anything else to say, but that's it for me. Good night, you guys. Thank you very much.
Everybody, thank you so much for very educational